The 4 fishing methods used to catch Alaska whitefish varieties are trawling, longlining, pot fishing, and jig fishing. Trawlers are the largest of the Alaska whitefish fishing fleet and use large funnel-shaped nets called trawls. Trawlers use sophisticated ultrasonic devices to detect and identify fish underwater, allowing vessels to avoid catching non-targeted species, as well as know where to tow the gear in relation to the fish and the ocean floor. If the vessel can process the fish on board, the net is pulled aboard and emptied. Species are then sorted and fish processing begins. These types of vessels are called catcher-processors and utilize onboard equipment to process and freeze the catch within hours. If the fish can't be processed on board, the catch is hauled in and stored in refrigerated tanks below deck. The crew then delivers the catch to a processing plant, either onshore or on other vessels. In all cases, the fish are kept well chilled or frozen and are processed within a few hours of harvest, resulting in very high-quality fish. Trawling is only allowed in select areas and is conducted offshore throughout the Gulf of Alaska, the Bering Sea, and Aleutian Islands. Selected areas of Alaskan waters are closed to bottom trawling to protect sensitive habitats of fish and marine mammals. Trawling is the only fishing method used to harvest Alaska pollock and sole, and is also used to harvest Pacific cod and rockfish. The only legal fishing method for halibut is longlining. In addition, longline fishing is often used for harvesting sablefish and Pacific cod, but never for Alaska pollock or sole. Longlining is done offshore throughout the Gulf of Alaska, Bering Sea, and Aleutian Islands. It can also occur inshore in southeast Alaska. Most longliner vessels are longer than 50 feet and independently run by owner-operators. Longline gear includes ground line, buoy lines, and ganyons, which are short pieces of line with hooks on the end. Long lines are set along the seabed with baited hooks every few yards. The hooks are then retrieved one at a time. The fishermen can unhook other species of fish and return them live to the sea. Because of this, longlining has very little bycatch. Another method of fishing in Alaska is known as pot fishing. It is generally conducted offshore throughout the Gulf of Alaska, Bering Sea, and Aleutian Islands. Pots are large steel-framed cages covered in mesh that are baited and placed on the seafloor. Pot fishermen retrieve the pots and return non-targeted species to live in the ocean. Pots are used to harvest some finfish varieties, including sablefish and Pacific cod. Jig fishing is a hook and line fishing method which utilizes artificial lures and an electric machine to jerk or jig the line up and down. Each machine may have up to 5 lines. Each line may have up to 30 hooks. The fish are taken off the hooks and individually handled on the boat. This method of fishing reels in hundreds of thousands of pounds of fish per year. Although it's only a small percentage of the total Alaskan catch, along with longlining, jig fishing is the only other legal hook and line method for catching Pacific cod. Rockfish, sablefish, and lingcod are also harvested using this method. All fishing gear is operated in as clean a manner as possible. Bycatch of juvenile fishes and non-target species is reduced, and interaction with marine mammals and birds is minimized. Alaska whitefish fishermen are dedicated to responsible catch methods and have participated in scientific studies to avoid incidental catch of non-target species. Fishermen have cooperated with researchers to develop modified gear that promotes bycatch reduction, improved quality, and preservation of marine habitat.